Hi, I'm Mack Blann, Mack & Company Realtors. If you're watching this video, you have a house you're wanting to sell. I think by the end of it, you'll see that I'm highly qualified to get that job done for you. I believe you can see from my resume I have a vast amount of experience selling homes like yours. I'd like to point out the part about me being a good money manager. Most real estate agents are striving from one commission check to the next. They can't put your interest ahead of their need for the money. I have saved my money over the years. Am I highly motivated to sell your house? Yes, but I'm not so desperate for the money that I can't put your interest ahead of my own. You can see that I have an extensive marketing plan. After we have gone over it, I believe you will be convinced that I am the right man for the job of getting your house sold. I spend 2 to 3 hours a day making calls looking for business. This gives me access to buyers and sellers that other agents don't have. I can assure you no other agent is doing this. I place your listing in the multi-listing service with complete and correct information. The MLS is where we realtors go to find each other's listings so we can show them. I know that complete and correct information sounds simple, but I have sold many houses where the previous agent did not have it in MLS correctly. I sold one over here in Hunter's Hill that had been on the market for 2 years. I sold it in 10 days. She had it in as a condo. It was a patio home. I place your listing on my webpage. 95% of the people who buy a house start their search on the internet. I mail out 1,150 flyers a month directing people to my website. I place your listing on the internet. Remember, 95% of the people who buy a house start their search on the internet. There are 73 websites that want to place my listings on their websites, like Realtor.com, Zillow, Trello, HomeFinders.com, etc. I do a photo gallery for the MLS and internet, of course for more photos than displayed here, up to 40. If you don't have a good photo gallery, buyers pass it by. I pay out 3% of the sales price if sold by another agent. I want the other realtors to be more interested in selling my listing than my competitors. An agent can make more money selling my listing than selling their own company's listing. The ones paying 2.2% or less, a lot of us don't want to show. If you were a realtor, which house would you want to sell? I have a 24/7 call capture program. This is the best marketing tool I have seen in my 37 years. Buyers can call 24 hours a day and get a recorded message telling them about your home in much more detail than I could ever put in a written ad. They are 300 to 400% more likely to call a recorded ad than call me as a realtor. However, when they call my ad, the system sends me a text message with their phone number and what house they called on. I place a box on the sign with brochures with just enough information to intrigue the buyer. I don't put the sales price or the square footage, so they'll call the recorded ad. I personally handle all the calls that come in from potential buyers. That makes sense because I know more about your home and have more incentive to sell it than a floor duty agent. We'll come back to floor duty in just a moment. Plus, I'm a better salesman than 95% of the people in the business. When a buyer calls on your home, I know how to get them off the phone and in the car. Now back to floor duty. This is a real estate business in a nutshell. If you look at a typical office, they will have 5 or 6 top hitters. These are the agents I used to recruit when I owned Macks. What I found was that in Little Rock, I have about 1,100 agents. There's only 75 that work at Macks. I didn't recruit anyone that did less than $2 million a year. North of the river, there was only 40 out of about 900 agents. Then they have 10 or 12 average agents that sell 4 or 6 houses in a year, and then I have 10 or 12 low producers that only sell 2 or 3 houses per year. Well, they do this system called floor duty, where there's 30 agents in an office. Each agent spends 1/2 a day every 15 days taking the phone calls to come in on their listings. The theory is that we always have an agent on duty to handle the calls that come in. The fallacy with this system is that 90% of the time, who are selling 10% of the product are taking the calls. They just answer the questions and waste the call. I contact other builders for homes in the same price range as your home. Gives me a chance to tell them about your house and remind them that they can make 3% selling your house. When an agent from another real estate company wants to show your home, my showing service will set up the appointment and send me an email so I'll know who's been there. That way I can follow up and give you feedback. After your agent has shown your home, centralized showing service will send them an email for feedback. Only about 1 out of 10 will fill this out, so I have to call the other 9. I do the follow-up for 2 reasons. I want to know how your house compares to other homes on the market in the same price range, and I want to know if their buyer is interested. If they are, I can answer any questions that they may have. At times, I'll find that the buyer is interested, but the buyer has a problem that's keeping them from moving forward. Lots of times, I can help the other agent solve the problem and get your house sold. I pre-qualify your buyers before we enter into a contract with them. What we don't want to do is tie your house up with someone that can't get the money and miss a buyer that can. I'm going to represent you during contract negotiations. If another agent sells the house through the multi-listing service, they will be representing the buyer. What is their job? Get the buyer the best deal. My job, get you the best deal. Good news, the average agent only sells 4 or 5 houses a year, and they're not any better at negotiating a contract than they are finding the business. I will find out how motivated the buyer is. My job is not to tell you what to do, but to get you enough information you can make an informed decision. When we get to home inspection, now there's certain home inspectors we won't deal with. We will have my people look at the repairs, see if they're legitimate, and then we'll negotiate them. Remember, I'm a home builder. I stay on top of the buyer's loan officer to be sure we get closed on time. I'm going to handle the closing. When I bring you an offer, I will fill you a net sheet so you'll know how much money you're going to clear at the closing. I have included 3 unsolicited testimonials for your viewing. This home was listed with Janet Jones for 18 months before I listed it and sold it. This is a real nice older couple I sold a house for in North Little Rock. Millie had her house listed with 3 different realtors and had given up any hope of selling it before I showed up. If you want more information on any of my marketing plan, go to the slideshow and click on that slide.